I know we alluded at the start of this video to a bonus game.
There's always a bonus game.
There's always a bonus.
Always.
And this is actually my favorite game of the year.
And this
beating Elden Ring.
is why I'm surprised that it went to your bonus and not your number one.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because this game was actually released in 2015.
Oh god, this is your technicalities.
Yeah, the technicality. Released in 2015. I can't break the trend. It would have been Game of the Year if it came out this year, and it would have reached it. But it deserves its own spot because it's so good. It actually could be. It's probably in the top 5 all-time favorite games of all time for me.
Yeah.
Maybe top 3. It's just exceptional. It's not the perfect game, and
What game is perfect?
Loads of flaw. What game is it?
What game is perfect?
What game is perfect?
Yeah. There's always going to be something that you're not too happy about with a game.
True. Not every game is perfect. That's true. There's no such thing as a perfect game. But no such thing as perfect anything, really. You know, morals for life.
But this game.
But this game is perfect in my eyes because it's so good. And that game is Underrail. Top 5 or top 3 all time. Love this game. This is there's no way anybody would ever find this game in like a regular kind of like retail or normal gaming. If you're just on the top level, like FIFA, Call of Duty. If that's like your baseline level,
You go to the
even in
sewers.
mid level, like when you're like okay, like Valheim, Dwarf Fortress. So Deep Rock Galactic, that's like your mid-level. We're talking
spelunking.
like the down in the dirt. We're talking the trenches level. We're talking like you gotta go dig for this thing. Just absolutely wild game. And I was obsessed with this. This game was like crack cocaine to me. I was addicted to this game for all of June, all of July. It was like just sensational. I don't think I've ever captured. I remember certain moments in my gaming, not career, but my gaming tenure, let's say, over my playing games throughout my life. Like, I remember getting Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time when I was 8 years old on the N64, and I remember having this like surreal out of body moment of thinking, whoa, this is like 3D, and I came from the Game Boy, like playing like 2D, like Super Mario Land and stuff like that, and Tetris, and to come to this, like, whoa, this is a 3D world. Like, it sent shivers down, and I still remember the picture of me playing on my N64 in the sitting room, and I was standing in front of the screen, just like, wow, it's like, this is just, whoa. Yeah, and that was, I still remember that experience, and Underrail gave me that when I was playing here. It was just mind-bogglingly good, and I was hooked on it, and because the combat is insanely difficult in it, and because the world building is so good, and the music is great as well, it fits, it's real moody. How I would describe it is like, it's an old school isometric turn-based RPG, kind of similar to, in the same, it's like a spiritual successor to the first like Fallout 1 and 2, but it has all the modern mod cons and creature comforts of modern game design to kind of streamline the sort of that irksome sort of real clunky sort of user interface and clunky inventory system. It just smoothens out all of that, and it's just absolutely amazing. And would you believe I don't have any footage of this game? I was so in love with this game that all I could find was this real jarring, janky, like 10 frames per second trailer from YouTube. I have to use the trailer for it because I love the game so much that I didn't even think about anything outside of it when I was playing it. Capturing footage? No.
This says a lot.
Responsibility? No. Eating? No. It was just heroin game Underrail.
No, this, like, I will absolutely attest to this, is I was getting 10-minute long voice messages from you about this game. Like, it would just be you voicing this game out about everything physically possible that was going on, like the ridiculousness, like you becoming the Rat King, like
I was the Rat King,
like just so much, to the point that even like you got your brother onto this game.
I did.
We
So
got
we got it in GOG.
Yeah.
And so we were able to, like, you know, well,
we got it in GOG.
GOG.
And so he also got it in GOG, and he was playing it. And I remember even you telling me about, and even when I was here in the house, when he like came back like to the house to like play, of like him coming upstairs really quick and be like, this is what I've just done in this game. Like, James, why didn't you tell me about this? And you running down and tell him like you'd be doing it in like 2 different levels of the house playing this game to then run at each other and tell him you'd had like a 2-hour phone call with him like pretty much every day, if not like 2 or 3 times a week, specifically about this like game. Like it was this, like, even more than Elden Ring, even more than any other game you've ever voiced me, because like you're always really good at voicing me about your games. This game was literally every message had something to do with this game. It was just that pinnacle. Even now, I feel like it wasn't like, it kind of put a bit of a like a spanner in the works. Even when you got, I think it was like, what was it, a DLC or like a second edition element?
Yep. So there was a DLC. It was called Expedition.
Yeah. Even when you added that on, like, I feel like it wasn't as good as the original. I think it kind of like took away from it. Like you, like, was my impression that I got from them. The way that they spoke about it. But for you, it definitely was like, it was just your everything. I think you did actually skip meals, like not in a bad way. Like it was though a case of like, oh, I didn't realize I was playing this for 4 hours and I haven't eaten in about 5.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. I would then go down and have like a midnight lunch then.
Yeah, or like I'd get a random message of like, I'm so sorry I haven't like spoken to you today. I've just been playing this. And honestly, I knew in June, July, and even August, I was like, oh, I haven't heard from you. He's playing Underrail. He's playing Underrail.
See, it's so the gameplay of it. So it's a CRPG. So it has like the usual trappings. Quests, has items, different factions, upgrade points, gear, inventory management, actions in combat, and like special abilities and traits and feats that you can unlock with like experience points and stuff. So it's so old school, but it has like, it's the old school sort of gameplay, but it has the modern sort of sensibilities and design choices, so that it's super streamlined. And the first 20 hours of that game, I played it for, I think I put about like, it's 130 hours in the end, and the first 20 hours are like heroin. It's just so addictive. It's the perfect introductory tutorial to a game.
The thing is though, it says a lot, because you said this was a total of 130 hours. You played Elden Ring for like 150, didn't you? Like you were only 20 hours short.
Yeah.
Like compared to it. And even then, obviously Elden Ring I think could have been longer, because you kind of like near the end pushed yourself through it just to finish it. You probably skipped a few corners.
But then again, I did a lot of extra stuff in Elden Ring.
Yeah. I think like some people say that you
could
could get that done in like 80 hours or something if you like
true.
speed run. But like, what's the point? Like if the game's there for like 150 to 200 hours, play it. But this is, I think, the thing about this game is that like it really attests to how much you are into this, because you played almost equal amount of hours.
Yeah, that is true, because it's so good. Because it's like, I think it's because of the world building. Like there's a lot of games that are kind of like there's not too many CRPGs that stand out in the world. Like there are exceptional ones like Divinity, Original Sin, and Original Sin 2. They are exceptional. And then there are like very, very, very good ones like I don't know, Pillars of Eternity. And then there are other ones. The old school games seem to stick in people's mind, like Planescape Torment. And then there's this one, then Underrail. And Underrail is like, it wouldn't rate very well, and I remember it kind of has middling reviews. Yeah. But to be honest, it doesn't even matter, because the gameplay was perfect to me. Yeah. And it was the world building. If I could describe it, it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic Mad Max. Like Mad Max meets like cyberpunk kind of style. It's futuristic, but it's post-apocalyptic. It's amazing. So the story is that all these nukes fall on like on the surface of the earth, and it's like a barren wasteland, so everybody has to move underground. And they move around with trains and stuff, hence the Underrail. It just has, it's just, my god, I don't know what else. It's like, it has it's just amazing, and it's the world, and it's finding out like the different things that are going on, and it's like it's the same reason why Elden Ring is so good to me, because it has that mystery, and because it doesn't like hold your hand or tell you where to go or have quest markers. It just tells you kind of like where you need to go, and then you just go there of your own accord, and I just love it for that. Like it's starting off so weak, and the combat is tough as nails.
Yeah.
It's so difficult. It's so hard. And I love games that have really tough combat, because it makes me feel very satisfied when I overcome that challenge. And I will never forget when I came out of the introductory tutorial and I decided to explore out into the Underrail, and they even warn you in the game how difficult that can be. Like it's like, oh, prepare to like feel the wrath. And as I would messingly describe this game, it's like it's the perfect loading screen simulator, because you'll always be loading the screen back after you die. But I remember I was at a fight, and I think it took the best part of an hour, and I remember Adam was here with me, and we were trying to both, it was my game, and we were trying to both overcome this crazy challenge. Like it was a combat that was, I didn't even, it was difficult at the time, and it was 4-0, but I didn't know it was 4-0. It was just a regular combat, but these guys were so higher level than me that it was absurd to even challenge it. So what you have to kind of do is like we decided, we kind of cheesed it, and we kind of like hid ourselves in a corner, and we were throwing like cryo bombs and like freezing them. We were throwing like acid, we were throwing like Molotovs, melting the flesh off of these guys like crazy. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I remember as soon as I completed that one challenge, and this was just a regular combat. This wasn't even a boss fight. This was just a combat, just outside of the thing. I was jumping up here as if Ireland had won the World Cup. I was screaming. We were both screaming. Like I was screaming so much, like we were setting the dogs off. Like it was so much. It was so great, and I have never experienced. I love that feeling in games like that. Just like really, like you just get into a game.
That satisfaction for nothing.
Yeah,
as you say, like, because at the end of the day, it came out, as you say, like came out with nothing, but the satisfaction after completing it was just like, oh my god, I'm so thankful.
It really is. The combat is like the combat is excellent, but the writing is really good. Like the quests are really, really good. Like the characters are so memorable. Like there's like the dude who goes like time travel. You go like time travel and like travel different dimensions. I'm not sure if it's dimensions, but it's different places in time. There's like the Rat King that was my favorite one. You have to take down the Rat King, and then you can either like befriend him or you can become him. So I decided to become him, of course, and I was then the Scurry Lord, going around the Underrail, scurrying around the vents. It was just amazing, and it was so fun to like role play that within the game. And that was just terrific. I really did love that. There's so much more I can go into about the game. I'd say one of the main negatives about the game is that it's not for everybody. It still has a bit of jank, and it's maybe a bit too old school for people's tastes, but it does have a lot of modern sensibilities, as I mentioned, like design choices, like easy inventory management, and just different things. Like the UI is nice as well, and helpful. So I'd say the worst part is that the Expedition DLC is just a bit of a letdown. The opening of it is excellent. And it sets up a really great story of kind of like this city, searching for like the city of Atlantis. It's a beautiful art style. It's kind of like real sort of Atlantis with like rock monsters, and kind of it's just beautiful. It has this nice greeny blue kind of tinge to it, as we're seeing like in the footage here playing. It's just amazing, but it's too much filler.
Yeah.
Way too much back and forth, way too much backtracking, way too much go here, fetch quest, and then having to like come back to defend your village when it's under attack randomly. That's boring. That is just not what the first game.
Too much survival.
Too much having to do things at someone else's whim. Like, oh, you randomly have to now travel back, or you have to travel back here to grab this and there's so much backtracking in this, and that is the antithesis of what the base Underrail is. the Underrail was not like that. It didn't have fetch quests where you travel back and forth and have to backtrack all the time. It didn't have filler combat. The combat is really bad in Expedition because the enemy designs are terrible. Like some of the enemy designs, not all of them, but a lot of the enemy designs are terrible. Very kind of one-trick enemies that do the same thing, slow down combat, take ages to take their moves. Like in there's an area in the game where there's a lot of these like little scurrying bugs, like yes, sort of like that, and it takes so long to take their turn because there's like 12 of them and it's turn-based, so you have to take so long. It's just sluggish, and I don't like that at all. It's just drawn out. There's not enough. Also, the end game of the base game Underrail, not the Expeditions DLC. The ending in Deep Caverns, absolutely terrible. And I'll put my hands up. Underrail is one of my favorite games of all time, but that ending is so bad. It's not the ending of the story to itself, because the story is interesting, but the gameplay wise, so fetch questy, so lack of resources. You can't even leave the area once you're down in there. You can't go back out and like do anything else. You're stuck down there. So if you don't have the right amount of resources, then you really are
done.
Like you're finished. Like it's so grindy and so boring, and the enemy designs are kind of a bit boring as well. But it does have loads of different types of enemies, and there are certain elements of it that are fun. Like there's a maze with like worms and stuff in it that you have to navigate your way through it. That's kind of fun. And there's a part with like the mushroom forest. That's kind of a little bit boring because the enemies are very strong and they slow you down, and you're specifically trying to make it to a point to progress, and they're trying to slow you down, and they respawn. Oh no, that's a stinker, so bad. But it's a complete misstep from the rest of the game. Was not like that at all. Very memorable characters, memorable quests, memorable. You get unique weapons and unique items in a similar vein to Elden Ring. You find like different weapons and items, and you're rewarded for that exploration, and it's so much fun. And the writing is excellent. The combat is tremendous. But the best parts about it, the best thing about the game is that there's a second one. There's a second one being made. Oh my god. And they're updating the engine for it. I'm following it on their forums.
Hopefully though, like, because obviously you expressed that had like one, the DLC, and two, also the end, like say chapter, it didn't live up to the rest of the game. Hopefully like the next one then will live up to the rest, the beginning, the majority, the 95% of the game. Because I can just see you getting so mad, like in the first hour of the game, going like, not this.
I won't deny that the ending, the final maybe 20 hours of Underrail certainly burnt me out of the game, and that was a disappointment because the opening 100 hours were unreal, and the opening 20 hours were heroin. Yeah. Just absolutely amazing. Yeah. One of the best experiences in gaming I've ever experienced. It's transcendental. It's just above all else. It's amazing. Another few great things about it are like you get rewarded as well for your exploration and your combat. Like you do get rewarded, and I love that sense of satisfaction when you explore a place and you're like, really, you are rewarded for that. The difficulty is so crushing that in itself is its own satisfaction outside of a reward to like complete this. And like enemies don't respawn. So once an area is cleared, it's cleared. So for that reason, it's incredibly difficult to clear an area, and combat is hard. Completely, and you do get better over time, but enemies are always difficult. And they're hard at the very beginning of the game. So you're fighting level 50 enemies, you're like level 10. Oh no, that's a problem. But they stay the same level throughout the game, so you get better, but you feel like you're getting better, but you're killing them quicker. And that makes you feel better. That it's a sense of progress in the game, and that's great as well. Finding new armors and like rare loot is a genuine joy in the game, and I just love that. The whole combat kind of feels like a David and Goliath. Like you're always like at the mercy of enemies, but if you can overcome that, it's just tremendous. And like just the customization and like different builds that you can have, it's so
Yeah, because you went with kind of like as you said, there's different there's different builds. You kind of went for like a tinkerer kind of
Dexterity,
deck,
alchemist kind of a
yeah.
thing. Yeah, with like
Versus
crafting potions and bombs and grenades and stuff. Yeah.
obviously your brother, he went with more of a more
Oh, he was a
aggressive,
one-trick strength,
like
double-handed hammer. Like he was
Yeah.
in the end, but he had doubled down on that, and that's the benefit of. There's so many builds that
But
are.
I think that's the thing though, is that it's probably why you had so much fun on it, because you both had two different builds. It also meant that you did things completely different.
Yeah.
When you went to do challenges, like one of the challenges, like you end up in like basically like a let's play a game kind of setting, as where you have to try and escape. But like obviously you had to be more stealthy, versus he just went in and smashed like stuff up. Like it was two
Yeah.
completely different things. And I think that's the thing that, like, hearing about the game, there's not just that like it's a really good game. It's a really good game that you have the variety on, that you can choose kind of how you build, how you explore, how you deal with things depending on your character style. And I think that's a really attribute to like why the game is so good, even now. As you said, it was released in like previous years, and it's why it's your bonus game. I think is like one of the big things. It's why it was so addictive. It's why both of you had so much fun talking about it, which made it even more addictive, because you both were approaching it in two different ways.
That's very true, and there are. These are the type of games that me and my brother like to play anyway. We're into Divinity. We played Divinity 1 and 2.
Yeah.
We're into like isometric like RPGs and CRPGs. So when this came along and it fit into this kind of weird sort of Mad Max sort of like, yeah, it's old school. Like it has an old school feel to it, and it's like the old 90s CRPGs like Planescape Torment.
Yeah.
It was just unbelievable. And I recommend this without a doubt. Recommend this to anybody.
Yeah.
I would recommend to everybody, but whether it's suited or not is a different thing. I don't think you would like it.
No.
But that doesn't take away how really tremendous the game is.
Like Elden Ring, it's a great concept and it's a great story structure, but for me, I think it's just one I'd rather watch than one that I'd actually play. It's just slightly outside of my, oh, I would definitely play this. It's that's nice. Like, I'd watch you play it and I enjoyed listening about it, but it's still not one that I would play just for my own personal preference of game style.
And that's totally fine. I think that's very fair to say, because it's just it's very niche and it does have a certain particular taste. But when that taste fits perfectly, my God, this game.
You'll lose 2 months of your life and you won't hear about anything else.
Exceptional, transcendental above all else I've played this year and for many number of years. Even though I've played 3 of the best games I've ever played in my life, year to year, back to back now, Hades, Disco Elysium,
Underrail.
and now Underrail. All different in their own right.
Yeah.
All
And
just
2023
ethereal.
is just going to be a new year for games, especially with a certain, I don't know if it's releasing next year, Hades, bringing out a little Hades 2.
I think it's going to be in
2024?
early access next year, so it probably won't be released until 24. But that is very exciting, very, very exciting.
It's been a good game for years, or good year for games.
It has been a good year for games. And with that being said, we can wrap up. And yes, thank you for listening to me talk about, go on about my favorite game of the year, which was, even though my favorite game and number 1 was Elden Ring, because that was the release this year, it's still my favorite game of the year was Elden Ring.
Yeah.
I just haven't had a video game experience like that in my life. It's just, I'll never forget it. It's just fantastic. And it's great that you've had so many different games as well that you've played, like cozy games and even online games and games that we can play together as couples, and Age of Empires skirmishes and Deep Rock Galactic we can play and chill.
And we have so many games actually for 2023 that we have so many to dive into, that like I'm excited to play even more games. Like, I got pretty good this year with playing games, and I can't wait to play like more next year.
Yeah,
because I already have like a list.
Oh, there's always a list. Always a list.
Yeah.
And in saying that, you can find us online if you want to follow us anywhere. I have a Medium that under the same names at Sir Joey Savage, and we're on Steam as well under these names. Pumpkin
Twitch.
Patch Twitch. That's also your Steam name. That's your Twitch. And yeah, if you would like to read that, I have my Game of the Year list on Medium. I have that. It's in the About section underneath this Twitch,
Yeah.
and in the description on YouTube as well. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Wendy,
Thank you,
very
James.
much for joining us. And yeah, great games. Here's to 2023 games, and here's to a game of Age of Empires 4 later.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. Bye.